Well, hello there, and welcome to the Poetry of Healing. So let me bring myself all the way up. Yes, and I'm just so happy that you are joining me today from wherever you are. So if you would mind, uh, put it in the chat, and so I can feel that we can feel the community that's watching today. So today, I am joyfully going to talk to you about peace in the home, or bringing peace and keeping peace in your home. The last time I was with you, I talked about inner peace and how to gain inner peace. So you can take a look at that video. It's from a couple of weeks ago. And it really starts, peace in the home starts with peace within. And so, as we usually do, I invite you to join me in a centering. And we're just going to use our breath this morning. Just want to use our breath because it's really going to help us as we learn these practices or tips about bringing peace to the home. And so I invite you to lower your gaze or close your eyes. And wherever you are, just move around and get comfortable as you can, whether you're sitting, lying, lounging, or standing like I'm standing. You can get comfortable and use your breath to bring soothing to your body, mind, and soul, no matter what position you are in. And so let's just take a nice deep breath in through your nose, deep, deep breath. And then as you exhale, just say ease. Okay. Now take a nice deep breath again in through your nose. And as you breathe out, just say calm. Okay, again, you're going to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and let it fill your chest. Roll your shoulders back to open your heart space. And as you breathe out, you say peace. And with the next breath on your own, before you open your eyes or raise your gaze, just sense your breathing. The air going in through your nose and coming out of your nose or your mouth. And just take a listen. Hear your breath as you breathe. Okay, all right. And with your last breath for this practice, I ask you to enter our space. So again, welcome for those of you who are just joining. I'm Dr. Paulina Van. I'm here with you today to talk about and explore how you can bring peace into your home. Or if you already have a peaceful home, how you can enhance it or just have it become a resident in your home. So let's start with, what is a peaceful home? So it's a place where you can be yourself. A peaceful home is where you feel physically and emotionally calm, safe, comfortable. It also means having a space where you can live harmoniously with other people who live in your home. However, please remember that what feels peaceful to you and me may not be the same for someone else, okay? All right. So why is it important to even talk about a peaceful home, okay? When your home lifts you or inspires you in the morning, it soothes you when you return home, and is a relaxing place to live, The time you invest in creating a peaceful home can ease your stress and give you energy, or at least stop depleting your energy. So let's talk about, because we all want a peaceful home, whether we express it or not. We want peace in our lives, peace in our homes. And so, what are some of the barriers to a peaceful home? And I'm sure if you kind of sat back and thought about it, you can tick them off too. Let me share some of the ones that I'd like to share with you today. So, financial problems that create stress, anxiety, and uncertainty, those can rattle the peace in your home. And then having a poor work life balance. So, maybe the financial problems may be having you work longer hours than you are at home. There may be a lack of privacy in your home or lack of your personal space. There may be excessive noise. I got to tell you, one of my things, my I guess pet peeves is a lot of noise. Okay, I'm not a hermit, but I like my home to be quiet, at least sometimes. It's not quiet all the time, but at least sometimes. Your overuse of technology, and me too, that creates disruptions and interferes with your relationship. So if you're always on the phone and not connecting with the people who you live with, it can disrupt your relationships and kind of isolate them, isolate you. The next one is a major one. Every um, conversations conversation I've had about peace, either within or in the home, that I read about, clutter is always a part of that discussion or that reading. And I'm not going to go into it now because that would take up the whole show. It would clutter the show. But if you're interested in me talking about it at a later time, and most likely I'll bring on an expert in clutter, but drop a note in the chat and let me know if you're interested in that. But clutter, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It takes a toll on our well-being. That's why it's so important that we deal with it. And one expert refers to clutter, a cluttered environment, as living in chaos, CHAOS. And those letters stand for can't have anyone over syndrome. Now, I know I have had that over and over and over again, even though, okay, I take it to another level. I see clutter in a different way, even though my house is organized, but we'll talk about that later anyway. If you feel you can't invite people over because your home is too chaotic, unorganized, messy, or cluttered, it can take a serious toll on your social life. Over time, this may erode some of your social connections and contribute to a lack of social support in your life. And we know how important social support is to just overall well-being. We have a natural need, and I'm using the word need, to connect and belong with others. And this is something we're born with. And so if we feel that we can't have people in our space, and I'm not saying, have an open house, but it disconnects us with other people. So a cluttered environment, or I'll call it disorganized environment, can be an energy drain, because everything you see, well, at least everything I see, is a reminder of, oh, I need some cleaning to be done, or I need some folding to be done, or I need laundry to be done. Okay. And so we don't want this to lead to social isolation or loneliness. So for our time together, though, today, I'm going to focus on just three factors, and that is insufficient attention to or no self care, poor communication with others in the home that leads to misunderstandings, and then conflicts with other people living in your home that create a hostile environment. So those are the three. I may add a few more in, but I want to give you strategies. What can we do? Because we know that these situations, conditions exist that disrupt peace in our home. So let's look at it. Okay, so for yourself, personal strategy. And I started doing this and it really changes the energy. Oh, the things that I'm going to share with you are things that I have personally done. And so this is not textbook stuff. This is stuff that I know and I feel, have felt, and experience it. So, first thing is, each time you come home, when you get to your door, I usually come through my garage door, the threshold of whatever your home, apartment, place where you live, you get there, just take a nice stop instead of getting the keys and rushing in. Just stop, pause, take a nice deep breath, and say, either mentally, if there are other people with you entering the home, or um, you can say out loud, I bring peace in. Okay? So as you walk in, you're going to say, I bring peace in. And that's setting intentions. You're setting intentions for peace to live in your home every time you walk in. So that's one thing. A second thing you can do, and this may take a little more effort, but you'll get into the practice. If in fact this is one you choose, I'm going to give you several, and then you choose maybe one and try it out. Okay. So the second one I'm going to share with you, and has to do with what you can do personally on a daily basis. Identify one thing, a situation that is chaotic, is disturbing your peace, and what can what you can do about it. So is it a disorganized home? Is it because you work long hours and you have no time for yourself or do the things you enjoy? If you have the privilege to care lovingly for children, is it the after school activities, being, carpooling and taking the kids from one activity to another? Is it siblings, the siblings getting into it, as my daughter would say, or not getting along? Okay. Is it not having enough time with your partner? Okay. So as you identify the one thing you can do, remember, you can't change others, and you can live, and you can't live in a world without chaos. Chaos is a part of your life, just like breathing. Okay. But although you can't live in the world without chaos, you can do something for yourself to bring some relief and find peace in the midst of it. So see if you want to work on any of those things. Okay. The next tip I have for you is that thoughts become things. Okay. This is an adage that I heard years ago, and it is what you think becomes reality. And words have energy. And so what I'm going to recommend is that you replace your negative thoughts, maybe anger, frustration, guilt, and write down 3 positive affirmations and place them around the home, and say them when you want to protect your peace, when you want to have more patience. And so an example would be, gratitude fills these rooms with peace. I'm going to show you some other, I'm just going to see if I can bring them up. I have some other examples for you. Okay. So these you place around the house and place around the house where you're going to be able to see them. So maybe at the front door, somewhere in the kitchen, somewhere in the bathroom. And so these are just examples. You can make up, you can make up your own, or if you, when you're reading and you come across affirmations, you can start saving them and just write them down, type them out, and just put them around the house. So here are three. Let me see if I can, I hope you can read that. So we protect our peace with patience. Okay. I choose calm words. I create calm rooms. And of course, gratitude fills these rooms. Peace follows. So just think about if any of those resonate with you, and if they don't, that's okay. You can think of some others. Okay. The next thing I want to talk to you about, and I really love this because, and I think each of us have a peace corner somewhere where you can just go and just melt and relax in your home. You may call it a prayer corner, a prayer closet, um, a soul care corner, a reflection corner, but somewhere where you feel you can just be. And even if there's a lot going on in the home, um, that place, wherever it is in your home, or it may be in your car. Sometimes I just go and sit in my car. Yeah, so find a place um, where you can just think about the things that you love. And if you're saying, I don't have a place yet. It could be simple as a chair and your favorite blanket, and you just curl up there. Okay. Um, Sometimes you got to get in the shower. But whatever feeds your soul. Okay. So to help you find a place if you don't have one, think about the things that you love about a peaceful space that you've experienced. Say when you've gone on vacation or visited a place, a day vacation. Um, what is it about that place that made you feel at peace? Were it plants, candles? Was it the lighting? Were there pillows or music? So think about those things and maybe bring one into your home. Get a favorite pillow or play your music. Um, I love playing gospel music in the background and just closing my eyes. And I sing a lot too, so I sing along maybe. Okay, we've been talking about what we can do just for ourselves in our home. Let's talk about how we can um, communicate with others to keep peace and bring peace into our homes. So there's one thing, the 2 minute space, I call it. Okay. Give me 2 minutes of space. Okay. So you may be in a conversation and when tensions are rising, and you can feel the heat rising when you're having a conversation. First of all, you're not making any progress, and your chest might get tight. You start talking fast. That's what I do. I start talking fast when my tension rises. So a good thing that you might try is that tell the person or the persons, I'm taking 2 minutes to breathe. Okay. I need to just step away for 2 minutes. I need to breathe. I need to reset my attitude. I need to just adjust my mindset. And I'm going to come back, but just give me 2 minutes. And then you really set your phone for 2 minutes because you really need to come back to keep the peace. And I say set your alarm so you can come back because 2 minutes could seem like 2 hours to a person waiting to continue to communicate with you. Okay. Um, Another thing that my husband and I do, we don't do it every day, but we may do it several times a week, and sometimes it's just once a week. But we did it last night, so this is pretty fresh. I call it the huddle. Okay, and it could be you and one person, or you and the family, or if you live alone, do it alone. Okay, so there are three questions. Well, yeah, three questions. What went well? So you each person shares what went well that day or that week. What was hard, or what didn't go as you expected to go? What disappointed you? And then some people ask, well, what are you going to do different tomorrow? What did you learn from the situation? But the question I like to ask is, what is the light in what was hard or what disappointed you? Okay. So let me give an example. I'm trying to remember what came up last night with my husband. Okay, I'll share this. As I mentioned last time, he has an acute illness. It's been 7 months and he's still healing. And he was talking about what was hard for him yesterday is the realization of how long this has been going on, how long his recovery has taken. And I said, well, what's the light? And why do I ask the question, what's the light? Because I want to bring peace to that part of his heart or of his just whole essence that's not at peace. So if you look for the light, and another term might be look for the gratitude in a difficult situation. Gratitude can bring you peace. Okay, so what he said was he would not have begun writing prayers if this hadn't happened to him. So you see, it's a difficult situation. His recovery's taking long, but he could say, if I hadn't become ill, I wouldn't be writing prayers, which his faith is really important to him. So I hope that helps. Okay. The next, I'm going to move to dealing with conflict so that you can bring peace into your home. Okay. So the first thing, and I'll tell you, I'm one who is just so not good with this one, but I'll tell you, I'm working at it every day. And that is, if you want peace in your home, have peace kind of live in your home, respect decisions others make about their own life. Okay. I'll tell you, that is hard. As you know, my husband's been ill, and I have thoughts about, and not just lay thoughts. I'm a medical person. So I had thoughts about what would help him to recover. And he didn't listen to me, you know? Okay. So, every conversation was about the same thing. I recommend this and I recommend that, and see this practitioner. And he'd just do the opposite. And it was stressing me out. Our conversations were tense. And this went on for months. And then finally, and even though my therapist, doctor, his friends, my friends, our family said, just leave him. Let him make his own decisions because he's of the right mind. My desire for him to get well was pushing me to push these decisions on him. And so I just said, God, and that's who I believe in. You have those of you who have another belief, you call on that person. I said, just help me to release this need to have him do what I want him to do, what I think is best. And I was able to release it. Now, it took me several tries, but I finally released it. And, you know, I watched him go into the hospital twice in a month, but I just had to just release it. And it brought more peace to our conversations, to our times together. And I want to say he finally followed my instructions for care, but that's not what brought peace. It was me letting go and letting him, make the decisions around his life. Okay, so the last strategy I'd like to share with you, and that is to deal with conflict and bring peace into your home, is called the 3-breath hug. The 3-breath hug. Okay. And this comes from the mindful teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's called a hugging meditation. So, in just 1 minute, it helps us ground the body, soften our tone, and set a peaceful climate when we walk in or before a sensitive conversation or any time the room needs to be reset. And when I say room, I mean your environment, your home, the situation. Okay. And why it works? Okay. So shared slow breathing, and I'm going to explain it to you, can steady the nervous system, lower stress, lower your reactivity intensity. So instead of react, you respond. Slow down your heart. Increase, you can perhaps feel an increased sense of safety and connection. Remember, we all have a human need for connections. And when our bodies settle, our words follow. Okay. So this is an example. Okay. And you can do it with another adult in your home. You can do it yourself, or you can do it with children. So I'm going to give you an example with an adult and doing it by yourself. So, for example, you might say to the other person, before we talk, can we take 3 breaths together? Okay. And so you ask the person if you can step close to them and give them a hug. Okay. Now, if you're not feeling the hug, you're really wound up, you're not feeling that hug, you can rest a hand on shoulder. So each of you rest your hands on the shoulder. You can touch arms, hold hands, or if it's that tense, just sit side by side and take breaths together. Okay. So I'm going to show you again how that works. So let me just add this. Okay. So we did the room reset. This is a reset the room with 3 breath hugs. Okay. So this is with 2 adults. Okay. So you take a breath in, and when you inhale, you say, I'm here. And you exhale, and you can say, I'm grateful that you're here. Take another breath. Inhale, may our hearts be steady. Exhale, may our words be kind. Okay. The third breath, you inhale, can we find our way? And exhale, we keep peace in this home. And then you step away from each other and look each other in the eyes and say one good thing. And it might be, I'm glad we're together, now talk. Now, this is a lot, okay? You may not remember it, what I just want to simply say is if you are touching each other and you're hugging and you can feel your breath and sometimes you can feel your heart beating, that's a way. If you just do 3 breaths together while hugging or sitting next to each other or holding hands, that's a way of resetting, calming each of you down, perhaps getting you on the same energy wavelength. So try it. Okay. You can take a picture. Let me move the cursor. You might take a picture of this or just try the 3 breath hug. Okay. That's with 2 adults. Now, um, for those of you who live alone, you can still do this. Okay. So you can place your hand over your heart, which is in your left chest, or give yourself a gentle hug. And breathing in, the first inhale, you can say, I'm here for me. Exhale, I soften. Okay. Breathe in. Second breath, I breathe peace. Exhale, I release tension. Then inhale, I choose calm. Exhale, I keep peace at home. And then name one thing you're grateful for. And then that's your reset. And you can also do this with children. And when you do it with children, even a crying baby, just and it's your children or your relatives, not at school or out in the public. You have to ask, of course, permission. And, I think even with our own children, I have a daughter, and I've done this with her, but I ask permission, may I hug you? And there's something special that happens when you're chest to chest with someone, and eventually your breathing synchronizes, and you can feel each other's heartbeat. It's just incredible. So if you get a chance, and this is one of the strategies you choose, then try it. Let me know how it goes. Okay. All right. Lastly, as we summarize, so we talked about what peace at home is, the things that can disrupt peace at home, and some strategies to bring peace into your home. And so, as we summarize, I just want to say that peace is not found, it is a practice. It's a choice, it's a journey, it's something that we must nurture and cultivate and invite into our lives and our homes every single day. And I heard Maya Angelou's podcast, one of the podcasts she said, and I just love this. It kind of rings in my head. And she says, deny access to people who bring negative energy into your life. You want to pull people into our peace instead of letting people pull us into their storms. And so as we end today, I just would like to say I hope that one of the strategies that I shared with you this morning will be helpful. I ask you, try it out. Try it out. If you have a strategy that you use to bring peace into your home, then please drop in the chat so others will have the knowledge and have advantage of what's worked for you. And so with that, I will end this episode, and I ask you to join me every first and third Sunday, right here on blackdoctor.org. And I do have a book of healing poems, and I'm just going to put the information up so that you can see it. It's in libraries across the nation. And then So I'll leave this up while we close. So I just wish you love and light, and of course, peace in your home. Thank you.